where I'm from, this is where it started. This is what becomes of the broken-hearted. This is going out to those departed.
Hello, bonjour. Mi manda Nishnaabemdaa Noongo. Mi gwech gonna wab de meg. Noongo mnui jogna shim minwa. Going din ta Nishnaabemsi. Going ngashkatosi. Bandaman is nakimaguk Nishnaabemwin. So I'll use English. And for the past little while, we've been talking about B form or conjunct form of the verb. And that's what you use when you're saying, for example, that I am here. Nishnaabemwin, that I am here. It's different from ndaya, mampi ndaya, I am here, ndaya, like I am in a certain place. If I want to say that I am in a certain place or when I am in a certain place, you got to use the B form, the conjunct form, and for first person, there's a yawn on the end of the verb. For verbs that end in a long vowel, we'll get into that other stuff later. So I would say, Nishnaabemwin, I'm happy that I am here. So you can refer to videos 40 and 41. We give a little breakdown of how to conjugate animate and transitive verbs in B form for me or you or us or them or very many other grammatical persons, so they're called. And today we'll talk about two other ones that we referred to in those videos, but we'll just give a couple examples. So in Nishnaabemwin, when you're talking about the third person, you conjugate the verbs in a certain way. But if there's another third person involved, say like Jishibes, you got Jesus and Jishibes, and you're talking about the two of them, you can distinguish between the two of them, like who's doing what. And in English, we don't really make that distinction. So for example, if we're talking about he lent him his truck, we don't know which he is him and whose truck and blah, blah, blah. But in the Nishnaabemwin, there's a different verb form for the fourth person. And you talk about the fourth person in a different way to make that distinction. So for example, if we're talking about Jesus as the third person and he goes, you would say Jesus ja. Jesus goes or he is going. But if there's another third person, Jishibes, and we're talking about Jishibes going as well, we can say ja one, and that means he or she is going, but it's distinguished from ja, from the other third person. So Jishibes son ja one. So that means Jishibes is going, but we're distinguishing Jishibes from Jesus, the other third person. So this is the fourth person, this is the third person. Jesus ja, Jishibes son ja one. Now how? So there's also a B form or conjunct form for that fourth person or the obviative. So ja one means he or she is going, the fourth person is going. But if we want to talk about if they're going or when they're going or that they're going, we would say ja nid. So we're talking about these two, and Jishibes we're specifying as the fourth person in the verbs we're using for them, for Jishibes. I could say, for example, Nishnaabemdaa Noongo. So that would distinguish between Jesus. I would say Jad for Jesus if I'm talking about him as the third person. I'm talking about Jishibes as the fourth person. I would say Nishnaabemdaa Noongo. Jishibes, you can specify who it is you're talking about. But in these contexts where you're talking about more than one third person, the verbs you use for them specify who's doing what. So in English, when we're talking about two third persons, it's hard to distinguish which one you're talking about. So for example, he lent him his truck. We don't know which he is, the third person or fourth person. But in the Nishnaabemwin, you can make that distinction. And so ja one is the fourth person goes. And ja nid is that or when the fourth person goes. Hope that makes sense. Probably doesn't. I'm not a very good teacher, but whatever. So another thing we talked about a couple weeks ago is the so-called indefinite actor. So this is the verb form you use when you're not specifying who's doing the action. So, for example, gigoke, he or she is fishing, I would say Nagigo ke, I'm fishing. Gigo ke wag, they are fishing. But if you want to just say that there's fishing going on and not say who's doing it, you say gigo kem. Gigo kem. There's an M on the end for these animate and transitive verbs. Gigo kem, and that just means there is fishing going on. There is fishing happening. Not saying who's doing it, but that it's happening. Now, there's also the conjunct form for the indefinite actor. And so that would be gigo keng. There's an ng ending when you use a VAI verb with a long vowel ending. So it would be gishpin gigo keng. So if there is fishing going on. So another example might be shunge, to like feed people. If you say shungem, that means there is feeding going on. They're feeding people. Not saying who is feeding, but that is happening. Shungem. And so if I want to say if that is happening, I would say gishpin shungeng. So I might say gaja wede gishpin shungeng. I'll go over there if they're feeding people, or if there's feeding going on, if they're going to feed us. Gaja, I will go, wede, over there. Gishpin shungeng, if they're feeding us, if there's feeding going on, if they're going to feed us or whatever. So, gaja gishpin shungeng wede, I will go if they're feeding over there. Now, so that's just a little bit more information on the fourth person and the indefinite actor. It's something you don't hear about too often, but it's very commonly used in the Nishnaabemwin. So it's good to learn these verb forms and also hear them so you can pick up what's going on when you hear Nishnaabemwin speakers talking about various things. Now, so on the radio show, we learned this certain sentence. It is Gishpin Jimad Gweb Nganish Gagazog Jaweb Nin. Gishpin Jimad Gweb Nganish Gagazog Jaweb Nin. And that means if you kiss your good for nothing ex, I'll throw you out. So take that for what it is, but it's a really good sentence to talk about some grammatical stuff. One of my teachers over in Minnesota, he uses this as an example because it's there's a lot going on grammatically, and it's a good sentence to use to teach. So anyways, Gishpin G mud. That means if you kiss him or her. Gishpin G mud. So that's if you kiss him or her. Jim is to kiss him or her. It's a transitive verb. So when you're talking about you to him or her in the B form, conjunct form, you say G mud. Gishpin G mud. If you kiss him or her. And webnagun is it's a slang term for an ex. It can mean something you throw away. So webnagun is a term people use for an ex. And if I were to say gewebnagun, that means your ex. And the ish ending makes it kind of not so nice. So if you're talking about that person or thing in not a very nice way, you put that ish ending. It's also a term of endearment in other contexts, but in this context it kind of wouldn't be. So gishpin ji mud geweb niganish. That means if you kiss your good for nothing ex. Gazog jaweb nin, or gazog jaweb nin, as people pronounce it around here, means I will throw you out. Zog jaweb in means throw him or her out. And it's a transitive verb, so if I'm talking me to you, I would say gazog jaweb nin. Gazog jaweb nin means I'm throwing you out. To put that in the future tense, I would say giga zog jaweb nin. Giga zog jaweb nin, I will throw you out. So there you go. Gishpin jimad gweb nganish giga zog jaweb nin. If you kiss your good for nothing ex, I'll throw you out. Not a very nice thing to say, but I don't know. If you got a dysfunctional relationship, maybe that's the way you talk to each other. Yeah. Anyways, misa yu nongom, mi go hachkana wab de meg, Nishnaabemdaa Noongo. How, mi yu, mi go hach.
Going out to those departed from a life so young it was barely started. This is going out to the mamas crying 'cause the sun's gone home with the angels flying.